in the middle of a crisis, it's what you remember that you do best. If we have not been top of mind in the members of COVID as well as government, it's not in a crisis that they'll remember us. So that's the sad part of this whole little pit we find ourselves in. But it's not all bad news. You know, like they said, a crisis is like a storm. You can ride the storm. I think a lot of bash has come to government, criticizing, even campaigns. I've seen it flying all over the internet, people asking about what is the message about, but I just would rather remain neutral because, you know, people, we need to be responsible in our comment. And to be honest, I think the intention is right, but the delivery may just be wrong because of the targets and all that. And that same budget, you see, with the professional could have been stretched to 10 times more effectiveness. So it's the effectiveness of the campaign that is the difference. But if government was, it's not that the campaign is bad, it's just that it was only targeted at the elite who already had understanding. So it's like, if you want to target the mass, this is not the way to go about it because they are not that, the way they simulate communication is a bit different from the so-called elites and well-educated. And it's just like buying goods and services. We all buy differently. And that's the truth of the matter. That's why you have supermarket, you have open market. So same thing with communication. You can't give communication to mass market in a way that just because you are a leader in your organization doesn't mean you can lead the communication, you know? So I think it's a lesson for all of us. I think it's a lesson for I think the biggest tragedy will be if we don't learn from what goes on after this and really do something quickly to say, okay, what are we going to do going ahead? Let's even assume by God's grace we get out of this pandemic. I said Nigeria at 60. Are we going to come together and say, okay, let's reposition Nigeria? Having gone through this, how do we now all get back and have a great campaign that gingers up the whole and galvanizes everybody that no, Nigeria, just like almost what they did. I heard they had a campaign like that in the Civil War. They said it's a task that must be done, you know. There was a campaign I learned. I mean, some of us were very young at that point. But my point is that there was a public campaign that I learned was very effective about how everybody gave a sense of patriotism. So we need to do something that says, okay, what's the hope? That's the one. I mean, at least we cross this bridge. What is going to happen now? We're going to go back to our old ways. That is the $1 million, and that is where I think maybe outdoor, even on as an association, maybe with a few people, with the president, get a few think tanks together, and let's even put up, because those boards are running anyway, we can put up 1 or 2 campaigns that show that how we know what we're doing, you know. So for the few that can afford to keep on running campaigns, I think we should come up with our own campaign and show as our contribution too, to say this is what can be done, you know.
Okay, fair enough. I think some people have been posting questions. I will read out one of the questions. Ordinarily, people show it by raising up their hands and I'll allow them to talk, but some people just want to pose the question. So the first question is speaking to exactly what you just said. Isn't it the role of OAN, AAAN, and other associations to advocate for proper recognition? Such bodies abroad play a huge role in advocacy. Do you agree with that?
We agree. We agree. The challenge is, like we said, it's not that they're not doing their best, but you can find out that when you're working within constraints, the channel for which you would have reached government is a little bit, how do I put it, it's been stretched, or it's a bit on the, what I'll say, it's not readily accessible. So a lot of things that you could have been getting directly, because at this stage, there's so many things that will be getting to government's ears. You need to have a direct ear with government, a direct link. And actually, like I said, the ACON, if it had had a chairperson or even a board that was functioning, that would have probably been a very good basis in which government would have been able to hear directly from the horse's mouth some suggestions. But since that is not there, of course, they're hearing from so many different people. So at this point, it's almost like say pandemic. If you're not hearing from the Surgeon General of the country, or so, I mean, then there's a problem. You know, let's be honest. That's the reason why you have things like that there. You know, but let's say maybe we could also say the acting CEO of Apple may have to take it upon herself. But you know, she's still limited because the board is what really ensures that those things come on board.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I would say one of the takeout of this session is to note down the need to see how we can lobby, if not at the government level, the COVID, because really, just like you acknowledge, their campaign is quite very elitist, and then is doing no particular justice. Of course, they own their money; they can decide to spend it anyhow. But I don't think it will hurt us as association if we reach out to them, and let's even if it's late, let's even make ourselves visible and offer some, um, discounted value rates to help them to, because
Another
really,
suggestion, yeah.
yeah. Go
Other
ahead, please.
suggestion could be that we start. Maybe the other suggestion would be that we should start with the states that are most effective, like Lagos State. You know, because this is where a lot of the agencies are operational. They have their offices. So maybe we should even start with the Lagos State governor, who appears to be quite open to such suggestions. So maybe we need to just remind our leaders that maybe that's an area that you start with. And by the time Lagos gets it right, others will want to follow.
Please, if we
You know.
log, if we get log out, please, everyone should log in back, please.